Which realm is the happiest in the cycle of rebirth created by the Buddha? Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. We often tell each other that living a virtuous life and doing good deeds will lead us to heaven, where we can become angels. But what does heaven really mean here? Is it truly a place free from suffering? The answer is no. The place we often refer to as heaven is actually just one realm within the 6 realms of the cycle of rebirth. As long as it's within this cycle, it can never be free from suffering. So, what exactly are these 6 realms, and how can one escape suffering within them? Let's explore these questions, and everything will be answered in today's video. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha resided in Venuvana, bamboo grove, in the city of Rajgir. Maudgalyayana, a close disciple of the Buddha, known for his supreme spiritual powers, could clearly see the suffering in the realms of hell and hungry ghosts. He even witnessed heavenly beings in the celestial realm descending into the 3 lower realms once their lifespan ended. Maudgalyayana would often tell the monks about what he observed and taught them ways to practice to free themselves from such suffering. Through his teachings, he led many to enlightenment, helping them escape the cycle of rebirth. The Buddha, seeing this, remarked that Venerable Maudgalyayana could not be everywhere at once to remind all Buddhists. Therefore, he instructed that in front of every temple, a wheel of life should be painted, and a capable monk appointed to explain its meaning to visitors, reminding them to diligently practice to escape suffering. This is how the wheel of life came to be. The 6 realms within the cycle of rebirth are the realms where all beings are reborn, including the realms of heaven, humans, asuras, demigods, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell. Buddhism teaches that all beings who have not attained liberation are propelled by karmic forces to endlessly cycle through life and death within these 6 realms. And to be within this cycle means being within an ocean of boundless suffering. The heavenly realm is considered the most wondrous, free from worries about food and clothing and devoid of the struggles of life. Lifespans are incredibly long, but heavenly beings are not without burdens. When their time comes, they experience the 5 signs of decline, marking the end of their lifetime's pleasures, which fade away completely. In the human realm, there are 8 fundamental sufferings: birth, aging, illness, death, separation from loved ones, encounters with those we hate, unfulfilled desires, and the imbalance of the 5 aggregates. Life has many pleasures, but it is also filled with endless suffering. In the realm of the asuras, beings have great blessings, similar to gods and humans, but their intense anger constantly consumes them, leaving them without peace. Beings in the animal realm often suffer from ignorance and delusion. They endure the hardship of the strong preying upon the weak. Those with a bit more good fortune may avoid hunger and thirst, but cannot escape the suffering of being used by humans. The greatest suffering of hungry ghosts is hunger and thirst. They constantly search for food, but find it difficult to consume anything, wandering in agony with empty stomachs. The suffering of beings in the hell realm is thousands of times greater than that of the realms above. Climbing mountains of knives, descending into oceans of fire, and jumping into vats of boiling oil are common scenes for beings in hell. Their lifespans are exceedingly long, stretching into thousands and millions of years, with suffering that seems never-ending. At the center of the wheel of samsara, there is a rooster representing greed, a snake representing anger, and a pig representing ignorance. These 3 animals bite each other's tails, symbolizing the interdependence of the 3 poisons, which bind beings to karma and hinder their liberation. These animals continuously stir within the minds of ordinary people, inciting them to create karma and experience the cycle of suffering in samsara. Greed, anger, and ignorance, though foundational to samsara and the nature of the universe, will dissolve as soon as one attains awareness. It is said that during the southern and northern dynasties, Emperor Wu of Liang was a devout Buddhist. He was curious to witness beings from other realms in the wheel of samsara, so he summoned the Zen master Zhigong with an unusual request. Emperor Wu asked the Zen master to take him to the heavenly and hell realms to see the difference. The Zen master loudly rebuked Emperor Wu, calling him a foolish, incompetent king with unreasonable demands. Enraged, the emperor drew his sword to strike the Zen master. The Zen master stepped aside and calmly remarked, This is hell. Emperor Wu of Liang realized something and understood his mistake, quickly apologizing to the Zen master Jigong. The Zen master then stepped outside, smiled and said, "This is heaven." This story shows us that the boundary between heaven and hell is very thin. When we give rise to anger, we are immediately cast into hell. The 6 realms can also be viewed as 6 different emotional states. Anger corresponds to hell, desire to the realm of hungry ghosts, ignorance to the animal realm, the 5 precepts to the human realm, aggression to the realm of asuras, and the 10 good deeds to the heavenly realm. Human emotions are constantly in flux, with good and evil rising and falling unpredictably, leading to the continuous cycle of life and death without end. Therefore, to transcend the suffering of samsara, Buddhism teaches us that we must begin by cultivating mindfulness and regulating our emotions. How did our Lord Buddha escape from samsara? The Buddha himself was an ordinary person before attaining enlightenment. When he was still a prince, he traveled to the 4 gates of the city and witnessed birth, aging, illness, and death. These sights stirred questions within him. Thus, the prince could not find peace living a royal life and resolved to practice the path. The questions that troubled him may also be questions we all share, but rarely seek to resolve. His first question was, since all people experience birth, aging, illness, and death, where do we come from? The second question, after death, where do we go? The third question, how can we escape the cycle of birth and death? These are the 3 most crucial issues of human existence. Because of these questions, the Buddha was unable to find peace living in luxury or following worldly pleasures. He was determined to seek the path. Initially, he sought out well-known teachers of the time to learn from them. These teachers guided him through the levels of meditation, from the 1st dhyana to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th dhyanas, but he found that these did not answer his questions. He then sought higher teachings, progressing through the levels of formless meditation, the sphere of infinite space, the sphere of infinite consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, and the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. Despite reaching these 4 highest levels of concentration, he still could not resolve the 3 crucial questions he harbored. At this point, there was no teacher left who could guide him, so he left these teachers behind to find a new way. In ancient India, many people believed that practicing extreme austerity would lead to enlightenment. Therefore, the Buddha practiced asceticism for 6 years, but ultimately, this approach did not answer his questions either. Finally, he arrived at the Bodhi tree, spread grass beneath it, and sat down in meditation. Here he made a solemn vow, "As I sit beneath this tree, if I do not attain enlightenment, may my bones turn to dust and my flesh decay, but I will not leave this spot." With such resolute determination, he meditated under the Bodhi tree for 49 days and nights. On the 49th night, he attained enlightenment and fully answered the 3 important questions he had long pondered. First, he attained the divine eye of recollection of past lives. Divine eye of recollection means the clear vision of past lives. Through this, he answered his first question: where did we come from? In the scriptures, it is described that he saw and remembered countless past lives of his own as clearly as if they had happened yesterday. He saw where he was born in each previous life, what he did, and all the events of his past. The stories of the Buddha's past lives were later compiled into the Jataka tales by his disciples. He also knew the past lives of his disciples, where they were born, and what they did, which became the stories of origins. This memory was direct, and not something that anyone told him or that he inferred. Next, he attained the divine eye, or heavenly vision, an insight that enabled him to see clearly at great distances and perceive minute details. He saw sentient beings dying and being reborn, driven by karma, moving through the 6 realms like someone standing on a high tower, looking down and seeing people coming and going clearly at a busy crossroads. The Buddha knew clearly that when a person dies, it is not the end. Based on their karma, they are reborn within the 6 realms of samsara. This realization answered his second question, and with such clear insight, he taught the doctrine of rebirth. At dawn, just as the morning star rose, he attained the knowledge of the cessation of impurities. Impurity refers to the residue of delusion. Cessation means its complete end. The Buddha understood the cause of birth and death for all sentient beings and the means to end this cycle, freeing oneself from the suffering of the three realms. With such clarity, he attained the knowledge of the cessation of impurities and declared his full enlightenment, becoming a Buddha. Thus, we know that the Buddha taught the doctrine of rebirth not based on speculation or imagination. When his mind became perfectly calm, his wisdom illuminated everything, allowing him to remember events from countless past lives. By attaining the divine eye, he saw sentient beings undergoing the cycle of rebirth in the 6 realms, driven by karma. The Buddha taught that karma leads one through the 6 paths of rebirth, where beings such as animals and hungry ghosts may exist alongside humans, though we can only see the animals. Some say that hell is deep within the earth, but this is not the case. Hell refers to a place of extreme suffering and punishment for beings with negative karma. After death, those with heavy negative karma are subject to painful punishments, known as hell. It is not, as people imagine, where demons come to lead them away. Rather, it is karma that leads. The effects of karma manifest according to the mind. Returning to the path of goodness, the human realm is considered the lowest of the good paths. We can take pride in being on this path, but if we are not careful in our practice, we may fall into the lower realms. To stay on the path of goodness, we must diligently practice and strive to improve, rather than becoming complacent. When our good fortune is exhausted, we may fall into the lower realms. Through his great wisdom, the Buddha saw all these truths clearly. Not only that, but he could also see even microscopic beings, which led him to say that in a bowl of water, there are 84,000 microorganisms. He perceived this directly, not through speculation. When he looked into the vastness of space, he saw countless worlds, as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges River. The Buddha's vision and understanding are beyond all conceivable measure. All of us who are here now have been here not just once but countless times. When a person leaves this body, it does not end there. They continue wandering, not knowing when they will stop. This is why Buddhism often uses the term wandering in the cycle of samsara, going on without knowing where to stop. The Buddha saw the paths that sentient beings take, coming and going, and thus taught the doctrine of rebirth. What is samsara? Samsara is like a wheel that turns continuously. It consists of 3 lower paths and 3 higher paths, where beings rise and fall in cycles, and thus it is called the wheel of rebirth. If a person does good deeds, they may ascend to the higher realms upon death. However, once their merit is exhausted, they will fall again. Conversely, if one commits wrongdoing, they will descend to the lower realms and remain there until their negative karma is repaid, allowing them to rise again. This constant rising and falling within the 6 realms forms the wheel of rebirth. Now that we understand the doctrine of rebirth with 3 good paths and 3 bad paths, what should we do? We should choose to follow one of the 3 good paths. At a minimum, we should return as humans. Those who are more fortunate may aspire to the heavenly realm. To return to the human realm, the Buddha taught that we should take refuge in the 3 jewels and uphold the 5 precepts. To go beyond that, we must practice the 10 good deeds to ascend to the heavenly realm. The intermediate level is the Asura realm. Asuras perform many good deeds and are diligent in charity, but they quickly become angry when provoked. They are considered deities, but not gods. Therefore, when giving or doing good deeds, remember to avoid anger. Karma is a law of justice for all beings. What you create, you will receive. If you do good, you gain blessings. If you do harm, you suffer. Committing all 10 evil deeds leads directly to hell without question. Those who perform slightly fewer than 10 may be reborn as hungry ghosts, wandering the world for a long time, enduring terrible hunger and thirst. Thus, the life of a hungry ghost is filled with suffering. Next is the animal realm. Committing roughly 5 of the 10 evil deeds can lead to rebirth as an animal. Animals are marked by ignorance and cannot discern things as humans can, which is a significant aspect of the cycle of rebirth. Speaking of the cycle of samsara within the 6 realms, who determines where we go? It is karma. And who creates karma? No one imposes it upon us. We alone make our choices and decisions. It is not that the Buddha punishes us by sending us to hell or rewards us by bringing us to heaven. As we exist in this world, some of us are wealthy, while others struggle in poverty. Who is responsible for this? Can we blame the heavens? In truth, a person without merit may find that no matter what they attempt, they fail and remain poor. On the other hand, a person with merit often succeeds easily and becomes wealthy. This is due to each person's own karma, not something bestowed upon them. Because we are unaware of this, we blame others instead of recognizing our own responsibility. Our present lives involve two main aspects. The first is repaying debts and enjoying past merits. Some people are born into wealth and privilege. They are reaping the benefits of past karma. Others are born into poverty or difficult circumstances, often as a result of past debts. The second is preparing for the next life by transforming our karma in the present. Therefore, the present life is significant. We must strive to create positive conditions, bringing some happiness now and setting up a better future. Those who understand the Buddhist teaching on rebirth have stable inner lives. The poor do not resent their situation, and the wealthy do not become arrogant. They know that if they enjoy good fortune now without creating further merit, they may fall into suffering later. Or if they endure hardship now, they can cheerfully accept it and work to improve, so they don't fall further but instead rise higher. Such understanding of samsara's law brings a natural inclination to choose the path upward, without harboring resentment or hatred toward anyone. In this world, it is common for a poor person to feel envious of the wealthy, or for someone who struggles in school to feel jealous of those who excel. These are bad habits, arising from our own karma. In the Buddhist scriptures, it is said that from the moment one sets their mind on the path until they become a Buddha, they pass through countless lifetimes, accumulating merit to attain the unsurpassed enlightenment of Buddhahood. This clearly shows that accumulation is never lost. Good accumulation leads to a good outcome, while negative accumulation leads to a negative outcome. People in the world often don't understand this, blaming their parents for lacking fortune or skill, thinking that is why they suffer now or lag behind others, without realizing they are experiencing the karmic results of their own past actions. They were born into a family that corresponds to their own karma, with parents as a part of it, but the root lies within themselves. Thus, the teaching of rebirth reveals the reality of human life. The Buddha, having seen and known this clearly, shared it with us. It is not a product of his imagination. Today, we may find it difficult to believe because we see things superficially. In Buddhism, karma arises from body, speech, and mind, with mind being the driving force. Good or bad speech follows one's intention, as does the body's actions. Mind encompasses all forms of differentiation, including anger, sorrow, attachment, winning, and losing. These all originate from our thoughts. Living in pursuit of these thoughts is living in pursuit of karma. With negative thoughts, we may act poorly or speak harshly, while positive thoughts lead to good words and deeds. When this body perishes, karma remains because it lacks a physical form that can perish. It will follow us to the next life. This is known as karma's thread on the path of rebirth. To end karma, we must control and manage our mind. To understand whether we continue in samsara, we only need to observe our own thoughts. Our parents gave birth to our physical body, but not our mind. Some people have naturally good thoughts, while others have harsh thoughts. Where do these thoughts come from? They are the accumulation of past lives, without a doubt. This explains why some people, even as children, naturally avoid meat, while others struggle to go a single day without it, even if their parents encourage them to. This is due to past life accumulation, not something that appears randomly. Accumulation refers to the actions and habits we cultivated in past lives that do not vanish but return in this life. These accumulations follow us in the cycle of samsara, manifesting as each person's unique character. When we speak of samsara, there's no need to overthink it. Just look inward at your own mind, and you will understand. Why is it that some people, though we barely know them, seem immediately likable? Or why do others, also unfamiliar, instantly feel unpleasant to us? It's inexplicable, yet it's due to the karmic accumulations from the past. Everyone in this world has people they feel close to, and others they consider foes. Meeting them again often brings suffering. Close ones are cherished, while enemies are resented. Some may say, Why is it that certain people always get what they want while others, like me, always face rejection? But is it their fault or fate? It's more likely that in the past they acted indifferently towards others, and now others act indifferently towards them. It's a fair exchange. For example, if someone has a habit of chasing dogs, even if they're just out for a walk, dogs might hate them and bark at them. Karma, whether positive or negative, doesn't always wait until the next life to bear fruit. Sometimes it manifests in the present. The Buddha, through practice and insight, understood these truths and shared them with us. We do not see them ourselves because we lack sufficient wisdom. When we achieve the Buddha's level of realization, we too will understand as he does. In the sutras, it is recorded that the Venerable Moggallana, once he attained arhatship, encountered a spirit with a large head and a small stomach, with a terrifying appearance. He reported this to the Buddha, who replied, "I too see them regularly, but no one would believe it, so I do not speak of it." This shows that anyone who reaches enlightenment will see these things in the same way, not just the Buddha. Many people say, "I only believe what I see and hear." Yet, are our eyes truly capable of perceiving all realms? Coarse things are visible, but subtle ones are not. For example, without a microscope, we wouldn't see bacteria. Our human eyes are very limited compared to those with spiritual insight. Electricity flows above us, but do we see it? No, yet it exists. Therefore, we should not rely solely on our limited vision. There are real phenomena we have not yet seen or understood. What we hear and see as ordinary beings does not have absolute validity. Thanks to his ability to recall past lives and his divine insight, the Buddha explained the concept of rebirth to us. Having heard this, we should reflect on ourselves to see if this resonates as a truth. Knowing the truth, what should we do? Should we roam aimlessly, or should we choose our path wisely? The Buddha taught us to choose a path that brings peace both in this life and in future lives. This is the way of cultivation. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next one.
The secret to happiness, spiritual practice, and mindfulness today. Please listen in peace. Listening to the Dharma with peace means listening with concentration, paying full attention to what you hear, and then letting it go. Listening to the Dharma is immensely beneficial. As we listen, we settle our body and mind into calmness, because this in itself is a way of practicing the Dharma. In the Buddha's time, people came to listen with great focus and a sincere desire to understand, and some even realized the truth while they were listening. This place is very well suited for meditation. After spending 2 nights here, I can see that it's a place of significance. The surroundings are very peaceful. All that remains is the inner environment, your own heart and mind. Therefore, I suggest that you try to pay close attention. Why have you come here to practice meditation? Because your mind and heart have not yet come to understand what they need to understand. In other words, you don't truly comprehend how things are and what is what. You don't know what's right or what's wrong, what brings suffering or what causes doubt. Thus, the first step is to calm your mind. The reason you've come here to cultivate tranquility and restraint is that your mind is not at peace. It's neither still nor disciplined. It's constantly stirred by doubt and unease. That's why you've come today and are now listening to the Dharma. I want you to focus and carefully listen to what I have to say, and I ask permission to speak frankly because that's my way of teaching. Please understand that even if my tone may seem stern, I do so out of goodwill. I ask for your forgiveness if anything I say offends you, because Thai customs and Western customs are not the same. In fact, speaking firmly can be helpful. It wakes up those who are drowsy, rousing them to truly listen to the Dharma, instead of letting their minds drift into complacency and dullness, ending up understanding nothing, finding the balance. Although it may seem like there are many different ways to practice, in reality, there is only one. It's like a fruit tree. If you plant it from a cutting, it may grow faster, but it will be weak and short-lived. A tree grown from seed is stronger and more enduring. Dharma practice is the same. When I first started practicing, I found this very difficult to understand. When the mind was quiet, I didn't know what was what. Sitting meditation was dull and sometimes even brought tears to my eyes. Sometimes I set my expectations too high, other times not high enough. I could never find the right balance. I realize how difficult it can be for you, coming from distant places, having practiced in many ways with many teachers. When you come here, surely you're filled with doubt. One teacher says you must practice this way. Another says you must practice that way. You become confused, not sure which approach to follow, uncertain about the core principles of the practice. The result is doubt. There are so many teachers and so many teachings that people don't know how to harmonize them within their own practice. The outcome is a great deal of uncertainty. You must not overthink. If you think with mindfulness. But until now, your thoughts have been without mindfulness. The first step is to calm your mind. Where there is mindful awareness, there's no need for discursive thought. Mindfulness will arise naturally, and in turn, it will give rise to wisdom. Ordinary thinking is not wisdom. It's just the mind wandering aimlessly and unconsciously, inevitably causing agitation and restlessness. That's not wisdom. At this stage, you don't need to think. At home, you've already thought too much, haven't you? It only further disturbs your mind. You must cultivate a certain degree of mindfulness. Excessive thinking can lead to suffering and tears. See for yourself. Wandering in thought won't lead you to truth. It's not wisdom. The Buddha was very wise. He knew how to stop unnecessary thinking. Similarly, you practice here to stop such thinking and thereby attain peace. When you are calm, there's no need for thought. Wisdom will arise right there on its own. Meditation practice. To meditate, you needn't think about anything beyond resolving that now is the time to train your mind, doing nothing else. Don't let your mind stray to the right or left, forward or backward, above or below. At this moment, our task is to practice mindfulness of the breath. Place your attention at the crown of your head, then slowly sweep it down through your body to the tips of your toes, and then back up to the top of your head. Gently guide your mindfulness down through your body, observing with wisdom. We do this to gain an initial understanding of our own body. Then begin meditating, keeping in mind that at this time your sole task is to watch the in-breath and out-breath. Do not force the breath to be longer or shorter than it naturally is. Just let it flow smoothly on its own. Don't try to control the breath. Simply allow it to breathe at its own pace, practicing letting go with each inhalation and exhalation. You must understand that practicing in this way means you're letting go, yet mindfulness must still be present. You need to maintain mindfulness, awareness, and self-awareness so that breathing in and out is smooth and comfortable. There's no need to manipulate the breath. Just let it flow naturally and easily. Resolve that at this moment you have no obligations, nothing you must do. Thoughts about what will happen, or what you will see or understand during meditation may arise now and then. When they do, just let them cease on their own. Don't pay them too much mind. While meditating, there's no need to focus on sensory objects. Whenever the mind is influenced by a sensory object, when any feeling or emotion arises, simply let it go. It doesn't matter if these feelings are pleasant or unpleasant. You don't need to gain anything from them. Just let them pass and return your attention to the breath. Maintain mindfulness on the in-breath and out-breath. Don't feel troubled if the breath is too short or too long. Simply observe it without trying to control or suppress it in any way. In other words, don't hold on too tightly. Allow the breath to be as it is, and the mind will grow still. Continue in this way, and the mind will let go of all else and rest. The breath becomes lighter and lighter until it almost seems as if it's no longer there. Both body and mind will feel very light and energized. All that remains is one pointed attention. You could say the mind has changed and reached a state of stillness. If the mind becomes unsettled, re-establish mindfulness. Take a deep breath in until your lungs are completely full, then exhale fully until no air remains. Inhale deeply once more, then exhale fully again. Do this 2 or 3 times and then return to your focus. The mind will settle down again. Each time sensory objects disturb the mind, do this. The same applies to walking meditation. If, while walking, the mind becomes unsettled, stop, calm it again. Re-establish mindfulness on your meditation object, and then continue. There is essentially no difference between sitting meditation and walking meditation, aside from the posture, mindfulness. Sometimes doubts will arise. You must be mindful. Be the one who knows and is aware. always closely observing and examining the disturbances of the mind in whatever guise they appear. This requires mindfulness, the act of watching and paying attention to the mind. You must maintain this awareness and not be careless or let your thoughts wander, regardless of the mind's conditions. The key is to let mindfulness govern and supervise the mind. Once the mind merges with mindfulness, a new kind of mindfulness emerges. A still mind is contained by that stillness, like a chicken inside a coop. It can move around, but it can't run outside. Its pacing back and forth causes no trouble because it remains confined. Similarly, awareness in a mindful, quiet mind does not cause problems. Whatever thoughts or emotions occur within that quiet mind cannot cause harm or disturbance. Some people don't want any thoughts or emotions at all during meditation, but that desire is excessive. Emotions will arise even within stillness. The mind can experience both feeling and quietude at the same time without being disturbed. With that kind of stillness, no harmful consequences follow. Trouble only arises when the chicken escapes its coop. For example, you're watching the in-breath and out-breath when suddenly you lose track of yourself and let the mind drift away from the breath. It runs back home, off to the shops, or wanders here and there. It can be half an hour before you suddenly realize that you're sitting here to meditate and start scolding yourself for lacking mindfulness. This is when you must be very careful, because it's at this point that the chicken has escaped the coop. The mind has moved away from its base of stillness. You need to be cautious, maintain mindfulness, and try to bring the mind back. Though I say bring the mind back, in reality, the mind doesn't go anywhere. It's only the meditation object that changes. You must keep your mind right here, right now. When mindfulness is present, the mind is present. It's as if you are pulling the mind back, but in truth, it hasn't gone anywhere. It has only changed subtly. It seems as if the mind travels here and there, but actually the changes occur right here. When mindfulness returns, you are instantly back with your mind without needing to fetch it from anywhere. When there is complete awareness, continuous, unbroken mindfulness at every moment, that is called having the mind present. If your attention leaves the breath and drifts off elsewhere, that awareness is interrupted. When you have mindfulness of the breath, the mind is right there. With just the breath and continuous, steady mindfulness, your mind is present. At that place, both mindfulness and clear comprehension exist. Mindfulness is the quality of remembering oneself. Clear comprehension is the awareness of oneself. Right now, you are clearly aware of the breath. Practicing in this way allows mindfulness and clear comprehension to develop together. They perform the same task. Having both mindfulness and clear comprehension is like two people trying to lift a heavy log. Suppose there are two people lifting a log, but the log is too heavy for them to manage. Seeing this, a third person with good intentions comes to help. In the same way, when mindfulness and clear comprehension are present, wisdom arises right there to assist them. With that, all three work together. Wisdom enhances understanding. With wisdom, you gain understanding of sensory objects. For example, while meditating, sensory objects may cause various feelings to arise. You might start thinking about a friend, but right at that moment, wisdom counters, "No problem, stop," or "Forget it." Or you start thinking about where you'll go tomorrow, and the response is, "I don't care. I don't want to be bothered by such things." You might think about someone else and then realize, "I don't want to get involved. Let it go. It doesn't matter. It's never certain." This is how you deal with what comes up in meditation, by recognizing, not sure, and continuing to maintain mindfulness. You must abandon all thinking, inner dialogue, and doubt. Don't get stuck in these during meditation. Eventually, what remains in the mind is pure mindfulness, clear comprehension, and wisdom. Whenever these qualities weaken, doubt arises. Try to remove doubt immediately, leaving only mindfulness, clear comprehension, and wisdom. Strive to develop mindfulness until it's present at all times. Then you will fully understand mindfulness, clear comprehension, and concentration. If you focus on this, you will see mindfulness, clear comprehension, concentration, and wisdom together. Whether you're pulled in or pushed away by sensory objects, you can remind yourself, it's uncertain. These are just hindrances that need to be swept away until the mind is pure. What remains should only be mindfulness, the remembrance, clear comprehension, the awareness of oneself, concentration, a stable, unwavering mind, and wisdom. As for the meditation object, I'll say no more on that subject for now. Supports for meditation practice. Now I'll speak about the tools or supports for meditation, the quality of loving kindness in your heart. In other words, it's the quality of a generous, kind, and helpful mind. These qualities must be maintained as a foundation for mental purification. For example, you abandon greed or selfishness through acts of generosity. When people are selfish, they're not happy. Selfishness leads to dissatisfaction, yet people are often very selfish without realizing how it affects them. You can see this anytime, especially when you're hungry. Suppose you have an apple and an opportunity to share it with a friend. You think for a moment, and although you intend to give, you want to give the smaller piece. Giving the larger piece, well, that feels embarrassing. It's difficult to think straightforwardly. You tell them, just come and take an apple, but then you say, take this one, and hand them the smaller one. That's a form of selfishness that people often fail to recognize. Have you ever done that? You really have to struggle with yourself just to give. Even if you only want to give the smaller apple, you must force yourself to give the larger one. Of course, when you give generously to a friend, you feel a sense of joy in your heart. Training your mind to go against its own desires in this way requires discipline and self-control. You must learn how to give and let go so that selfishness doesn't take hold of you. Once you learn how to give, if you hesitate over which piece to give, you'll face trouble. Even if you decide to give the larger piece, there will still be reluctance at first. But when you firmly decide to give the larger one, the issue is resolved. This is how you skillfully oppose the mind's selfish impulses. By doing so, you become the master of yourself. If you can't do it, you remain your own victim, continuing to be selfish. In the past, all of us have been selfish. It's a defilement that needs to be cut off. In Pali, generosity is called dana, which means bringing happiness to others. It's one of the conditions that helps purify the mind of defilements. Think about that and develop it in your practice. You might think that practicing in this way is like punishing yourself, but it's not. It's actually punishing your greed and defilements. If defilements arise, you must do something to restrain them. Defilements are like a cat. If you feed it whenever it begs, it will keep coming back for more. But if you stop feeding it, after a day or two, it won't return. Defilements are the same. If you firmly say no, they won't trouble you and will leave your mind in peace. Instead of fearing defilements, make them fear you. To make them fear you, you must see the Dharma in your own heart. Where is the Dharma born? It arises with our understanding in this very way. Everyone is capable of knowing and understanding the Dharma. It's not something you find in books, nor do you need extensive study to see it. Just think about this right now, and you'll understand what I mean. Everyone can see it because it's inside our own hearts. Everyone has defilements, right? If you can see them, you can understand them. In the past, you nurtured and pampered your defilements, but now you must recognize them and not allow them to bother you anymore. Morality nourishes your practice. Another aspect of practice is keeping the moral precepts. Morality, sila, guards and nurtures your practice like parents caring for their children. Keeping the precepts doesn't just mean refraining from harming others, it also means helping and encouraging them. At the very least, you need to keep the 5 precepts. Not only refrain from taking life or intentionally harming others, but also cultivate goodwill and loving kindness towards all beings. Be honest and don't infringe on others' rights. In other words, do not steal. Maintain proper conduct in sexual relationships. Lay life is structured around the family unit, fundamentally based on the husband-wife relationship. Know who your spouse is, exercise moderation, and recognize reasonable limits to sexual activity. Some people don't know limits. One spouse is not enough. They must have a second or even a third. In my observation, even one person can sometimes feel like too many, let alone 2 or 3, which only reflects deeper attachment to sensual pleasures. You must purify your mind and train it in moderation. Reasonable moderation is purity. Without it, there will be no boundary to your behavior. When you eat tasty food, don't get too carried away by the flavor. Think of your stomach and consider how much is enough to satisfy it. If you eat too much, you'll have problems. Know what's reasonable. Sensible moderation is best. One partner is enough. Having 2 or 3 is just excess that leads to more trouble. Be truthful in your speech. This is also a tool for cutting off defilements. You must be upright and honest, fair and just. Refrain from intoxicants and addictive substances. You must know moderation, and even better is to abstain completely. Humans are already addicted enough to family, relatives, friends, material possessions, and all sorts of things. All those are already more than enough, so why add intoxicants that only worsen the situation? These precepts are supports to your meditation practice and help lead the mind towards purity. These things only darken the mind. Those who drink a lot should gradually reduce and eventually give it up entirely. I'm sorry if the way I speak seems blunt, but I do it for your own good so that you can understand what is truly beneficial. You need to discern what's what. What is it that torments you in daily life? Which actions give rise to that torment? Good deeds produce good results. Bad deeds produce bad results. They are the causes. When morality is pure, you are honest and kind to everyone. This brings serenity, free from worry and remorse. The regret you'd feel from aggressive or harmful acts disappears. This is a type of happiness not unlike that of the heavens. You feel at ease and peaceful. You can eat and sleep comfortably, experiencing the tranquility born of virtue. Happiness is the result. Maintaining morality is the cause. This is the principle of practicing the Dharma. Refrain from wrongdoing so that goodness may arise. When morality is upheld in this way, evil disappears and goodness arises in its place. This is the result of correct practice. Reflecting on happiness. But the story doesn't end here. Once people experience a bit of peace and comfort, they often become complacent and don't progress further in their practice. They get stuck in that comfort, not wanting to move beyond it, preferring the heavenly kind of happiness. It's indeed very pleasant and restful, but it lacks true understanding. You must reflect on this so as not to be deceived by it. Consider over and over again the flaws inherent in this kind of happiness. It's only fleeting. It never lasts forever. Very soon you will have to part with it. It's not certain. When that peacefulness vanishes, suffering arises in its place, and once again tears will fall. Even heavenly beings ultimately end up with suffering and tears. Thus, the Buddha teaches us to reflect on these imperfections, that within happiness, dissatisfaction is always present. Normally, when experiencing this kind of ease, there is no true insight into it. Genuine, stable happiness is overshadowed by this false tranquility. This comfort isn't permanent or secure. In truth, it's a subtle form of defilement, a refined type of affliction that we become attached to. Everyone wants happiness. Happiness arises because we like something. When that liking turns into disliking, suffering arises immediately. We must contemplate this type of happiness to see its limitations and uncertainty. When things change, suffering emerges. This sort of happiness and tranquility is not certain. Don't think of it as fixed and absolute. Reflecting in this way is called adinavasanya, perception of disenchantment, thinking about the drawbacks and shortcomings of the conditioned world. It means contemplating happiness rather than accepting it at face value. Seeing its uncertainty, you shouldn't cling to it. You may grasp it, but then let it go, recognizing both its benefits and its harms. To practice meditation well, you must see the inherent defects in happiness. Think this way. When happiness and peace arise, contemplate them thoroughly until their flaws become evident. Seeing that everything is imperfect, your mind will develop nekkhamma sign, thoughts of renunciation, and turn toward letting go of this false happiness. The mind grows weary of clinging and seeks a way out. This disenchantment arises after you have seen what forms really are, what flavors truly are, and the nature of love and hate. Disenchantment means you no longer crave or cling to anything. You turn your back on attachment to the point that you can live comfortably and at ease, simply observing without clinging or entanglement. This is the happiness that arises from practice.
Buddhism. What are the limits of the realm of desire? Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. Is there anyone who doesn't feel a sense of awe when looking at the sky lit up by countless stars at night? Who hasn't wondered if there is some intelligence behind the universe? Who hasn't questioned whether Earth is the only planet that sustains life? For me, these are natural curiosities in the human mind. Throughout the history of human civilization, there has been a real drive to seek answers to these questions. One of the great achievements of modern science is that it has brought us closer than ever to understanding the conditions and complex processes underlying the origins of the universe. Today, let's search together for the answers to this greatest question of the universe. As you may know, according to the Big Bang Theory, our universe was born from a massive explosion that released an enormous amount of energy. This idea is widely accepted, but the model still struggles with the singularity at the very beginning, where familiar physical laws break down. This raises the question, what existed before the explosion? From ancient times until today, philosophical and religious schools of thought, from east to west, have woven cosmological and existential views that form the foundation of human beliefs and ways of life. Commonly, people divide these views into two main schools, idealism and materialism. Over time, these two extreme tendencies have mixed and clashed, leading to the formation of different philosophical and religious systems. These differences have often resulted in conflicts that are sometimes irreconcilable. In fact, they have been one of the main causes of discrimination and division, and have even led to devastating and bloody wars of extermination across the world. Not only in ancient times, but even in the so-called modern civilization of today, during the mid-20th century, the renowned scientist Albert Einstein became a lifelong vegetarian and stated, "The religion of the future will be a cosmic religion. It should transcend a personal God and avoid dogmas and theology. Covering both the natural and the spiritual, it should be based on a religious sense arising from the experience of all things, natural and spiritual, as a meaningful unity." Buddhism answers this description. He also emphasized that if any religion could meet the demands of modern science, that religion would be Buddhism. In 2008, the United Nations recognized Buddhism as the official religion of humanity and organized the Vesak celebration in Vietnam to commemorate the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha. All of this has raised urgent questions regarding the study and application of the profound meanings that Buddhism's cosmology and human philosophy bring to modern science. From our perspective today, we understand that this world includes the Earth revolving around the Sun, the solar system existing within the Milky Way existing within the system of galaxies, and countless galaxies moving and changing throughout the universe. Modern astronomy has discovered a vast number of black holes in the universe, estimated to be more numerous than the observable universe. This is the macroscopic view. On the microscopic level, there was a time when, with the discovery of the atom, it was believed that humanity had found the fundamental building block of matter. However, modern discoveries have dispelled this illusion by revealing the existence of leptons, quarks, antimatter, and multidimensional space. These findings have forced humanity to thoroughly reconsider its materialistic and pragmatic views. Other fields of science have also made discoveries beyond imagination. Of particular note is the field of modern psychology and psychoanalysis. In addition to applying hypnosis for treatment and delving into the subconscious and unconscious, hypnotists and psychoanalysts have taken patients back to childhood memories. Some have even taken hypnotized individuals back to previous lives, allowing them to know who they were before. These results have strongly challenged the notion that death is the end. The belief in reincarnation and the cycle of birth and death, once ridiculed, is now being seriously reconsidered by scientists. The law of cause and effect is no longer viewed through the dry, materialistic lens of syllogism. According to conventional logic, as in the formula H2 plus O equal H2O, when viewed from a broader perspective that includes both consciousness and matter, the Buddhist concepts of karma and rebirth have become a fundamental basis for scientists to apply and develop their research. In modern understanding, those who have explored Buddhism are often overwhelmed by the vast richness of its scriptures, including the sutras, Vinaya, discipline, and Abhidharma, philosophy. There have been different presentations of Buddhism's cosmology, but they share a common view that corresponds to the functioning of consciousness, where different worlds exist that are compatible with different levels of consciousness. Based on Buddhist scriptures, meditation masters and scholars, we can present a model of the world as follows. The entire universe is divided into three realms: the desire realm, Kamaloka, the form realm, Rupaloka, and the formless realm, Arupaloka. All beings within these three realms are still subject to the cycle of birth and death, samsara. However, beings who have accumulated sufficient merit will escape samsara, progressing from the 4 stages of sainthood to the bodhisattva stages, eventually attaining full enlightenment. It's also important to understand that in Buddhism, sentient beings refers not only to humans but to all sentient beings with consciousness, from tiny viruses to beings large enough to cover the sun, from visible to invisible beings, and from those in hell to the highest realms like the realm of neither perception nor non-perception, the highest formless realm. These beings exist in worlds that correspond to their consciousness. According to Buddhist teachings, sentient beings are born into different worlds based on the karma they have created, and they arise in 4 different ways. 1. From eggs, oviparous, known as Noensin. 2. From wounds, known as Taisin. 3. From moisture, known as Thapsin. And 4. Through spontaneous transformation, known as Hoasin. The 3 realms Triloka are presented as follows. According to the Sutra of the Great Nirvana, the Saha world is presided over by the Buddha as the sovereign of a vast realm known as the 3 realms, which includes 1. The desire realm, 2. The form realm, and 3. The formless realm. First is the desire realm, which consists of 4 types of desire. 1. Sexual desire, 2. The desire for beauty, 3. The desire for food, and 4. Lust. The form realm has 2 types of desire. 1. Emotional attachment, and 2. The desire for beauty. Lastly, the formless realm only has emotional attachment. In the desire realm, the 4 aforementioned desires are strong, while the perception of form is weak, hence the name desire realm. In the form realm, the perception of form is strong, while desire is weak, so it is called the form realm. In the formless realm, form is absent and desire is very weak, so it is called the formless realm. First is the desire realm. In the 3 realms, the desire realm belongs to the lower realm, known as the desire realm, because beings here are attached to 5 types of desires: sensual pleasure, wealth, fame, food, and sleep. The desire realm is also called the realm where the 5 types of beings live together: gods, humans, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell beings. The term mixed habitation means that within each category, other beings are intermingled. For example, in the realm of gods, there can also be animals and spirits, and in the human realm, there are animals, hungry ghosts, and hell beings. Generally, according to hierarchy, the desire realm consists of 3 main types: the lower beings, humans, and gods. The lower beings include 4 types: hell beings, animals, hungry ghosts, and asuras. The human realm includes beings living in the 4 continents: Jambudvipa, southern continent; Aparagodania, western continent; Purvaveda, eastern continent; and Uttarakuru, northern continent. Second is the form realm. Above the desire realm is the form realm. This realm lies in the middle of the 3 realms and consists of sentient beings and the physical world. It is called the form realm because beings here have transcended attachment to desires, and both their bodies and surroundings are composed of purified and dignified form. The form realm is divided into 18 different levels of heavens, from the 1st dhyana to the 4th dhyana. We will cover these levels in more detail in a separate video. Third is the formless realm. Above the form realm is the formless realm, the highest realm in the 3 realms. It is called the formless realm because beings here do not possess the physical form, rupa. Only the 4 aggregates of sensation, perception, mental formations, and consciousness remain. As there is no physical form, there is no manifestation of location or direction. Both past and future are seen as being fundamentally the same. However, in terms of their karmic results, there are 4 levels: the sphere of infinite space, the sphere of infinite consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, and the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. These 4 levels do not have distinct higher or lower locations, but differ based on the degree of subtlety and magnitude of the karmic results that beings experience in these realms. The gods of the formless realm cannot be described since this realm belongs to the formless dimension. Beings who cultivate Taoist practices often avoid noisy, chaotic environments, preferring peaceful and quiet places to calm their minds and gradually eliminate the 7 emotions and 6 desires. They refine essence into energy, refine energy into spirit, and refine spirit into emptiness. When successful, they achieve extraordinary results depending on the method they follow. Practitioners of Taoism are often categorized in this way. According to Buddhist understanding, these beings are the closest to Buddhism. Tibetan Vajrayana also identifies and includes another realm known as the intermediate state, Bardo, where consciousness resides after death and before rebirth into the various realms mentioned above. In summary, the Buddhist view of the universe is as follows. This world consists of many different spatial dimensions, each corresponding to the karmic actions of individuals, groups, and especially the consciousness of sentient beings. Humanity, as we know it, occupies one of these realms. Each realm has its own laws and rules. If we speak in modern terms, the world we perceive through our six senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, or with the help of modern technology such as telescopes, microscopes, and particle accelerators, is just a limited understanding, akin to the parable of the blind men examining an elephant. Buddhism classifies the universe into three categories: small thousand worlds, medium thousand worlds, and great thousand worlds. To clarify, the term thousand here refers to a vast number, not literally the heavens, deva, or gods. The universe contains countless great thousand worlds. Specifically, 1,000 celestial bodies make up a small thousand world, 1,000 small thousand worlds make up a medium thousand world, and 1,000 medium thousand worlds make up a great thousand world. Thus, a small thousand world contains 1,000 celestial bodies, a medium thousand world contains 1 million, and a great thousand world contains 1 billion celestial bodies. Some people suggest that a small thousand world represents a galaxy, a medium thousand world represents 1 million galaxies, and a great thousand world represents 1 billion galaxies. However, this interpretation might be a bit extreme. The description provided by Bodhisattva Samantabhadra in the Avatamsaka Sutra, Flower Garland Sutra, seems more aligned with modern astronomy. In this teaching, Samantabhadra tells the assembly, "O disciples of the Buddha, the sea of worlds has many different forms. Some are round, some are spiral, some are like flowers, and there are countless tiny particles differing from one another." When comparing the structure of constellations and galaxies that science has recently discovered, one can see a strange resemblance to the descriptions found in Buddhist texts. For example, the whirlpool shape seen in the constellations Cetus, Pegasus, and Hercules, the river-like shape of the Milky Way galaxy, and the flower-like structures of nebulae in intergalactic space. We still do not know the exact shape of our galaxy because current spacecraft are not capable of traveling beyond the Milky Way to observe it. It would take millions of light years to travel from one end of the galaxy to the other. However, another description from Buddhist scriptures suggests that the Saha world, our world, has the shape of Mount Meru. To the north is Uttarakuru, to the south is Jambudvipa, to the east is Purvavideha, and to the west is Aparagonia. The shape of our galaxy is described as a mountain, which is an inspiring idea, though it awaits confirmation by astronomy. That covers space, but what about time? According to scientists, time is the movement of matter, with 1 year being measured by the Earth's complete revolution around the Sun. However, at the microscopic level, time in celestial bodies, galaxies, and the universe can be measured very differently. In the 20th century, the discoveries of the great scientist Einstein shook the mechanical division of space and time with his famous equation E=mc². This formula established a close relationship between energy, matter, and speed, which also has a direct relationship with time, where c represents the speed of light, approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. From this, a new concept emerged, the four-dimensional space-time continuum. Matter changes depending on speed and time. And why not? If we have four-dimensional space-time, it is possible that there are many other dimensions of space that scientists are still working to explore. What does Buddhism say about this? According to Buddhist classification, a small kalpa, aeon, lasts 1.6 million years, a medium kalpa lasts 336 million years, and a great kalpa lasts 1.34 billion years. In Buddhism, the universe constantly goes through cycles of formation, existence, destruction, and emptiness. Formation corresponds to the beginning of the universe, akin to the Big Bang. In modern terms, existence refers to galaxies, the Milky Way, and Earth newly forming, becoming a place for sentient beings with countless differences to appear according to the law of karma, rebirth, and evolution. Deterioration refers to an aging universe, where sentient beings enter what Buddhism calls the degenerate age. Destruction is the collapse of the universe, corresponding to the time when the sun has exhausted its energy, black holes appear, and sentient beings enter the phase known in Buddhism as the apocalyptic world. Buddhism often expresses space using phrases like 10 directions of the Buddhas, where 10 directions refers to the 8 cardinal directions, plus the direction above and the direction below, making 10. This is an accurate way to describe space, applicable to any point in the universe. Regarding time, the terms past, present, and future describe the state of time without beginning or end, analogous to negative infinity to positive infinity on the modern mathematical time axis. In modern physics, the present is considered to consist of half past and half future. Another way to express time, particularly in Zen and Vajrayana Buddhism, is that time consists of a single instant, kshana, equivalent to a tiny moment, and it also follows the cycle formation, existence, deterioration, and destruction, but at an extremely rapid pace within the consciousness of each sentient being, similar to the waves of brain activity observed in EEGs. This is not abstract knowledge. We often say, one day in prison feels like 1,000 years outside. This clearly demonstrates how our consciousness determines everything. In other words, each of us has a different view of the universe, depending on our individual consciousness. According to the Abhidharma, Buddhist analysis of time, one snap of the fingers consists of 20 blinks. One blink contains 20 great thoughts, and each great thought consists of 90 small thoughts. That means in the time it takes to snap our fingers, 36,000 kshanas, tiny moments, have passed. This illustrates the intimate relationship between energy, matter, and consciousness, which has been firmly established. This explains why there are practitioners who have attained extraordinary abilities that defy imagination. It's not just written in scriptures. Even in modern times, there are more and more cases of people entering deep meditation without eating or drinking for long periods, yet remaining in excellent health. Some great masters can sit in meditation for months on the snow-covered peaks of Tibet. This insight is crucial because it will serve as the basis for explaining the following sections. And as stated in the Shurangama Sutra, this universe is like a bubble floating on a vast ocean. Here's the exact quote. If one mistakenly believes that form is the mind, one is determined to make the mind reside within the physical body, without realizing that even space, emptiness, and solid ground are mere manifestations within the mind's nature. It is like disregarding the vast, still ocean and only acknowledging a single bubble, thinking that this bubble represents the entirety of water in the ocean. Know that even space is born within your mind, like a few clouds scattered across the sky. How much more so the worlds that exist within space? In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha also affirms, all conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, like dew or lightning, thus should they be contemplated. This means that all conditioned things are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows like dew or lightning, and should be viewed in such a way. Conditioned phenomena here can be understood as the entire world, including matter, consciousness, visible and invisible things, all within the realm of samsara. The mysteries of the universe are endless compared to our ability and limitations, and the universe is infinite in both depth and breadth. According to dialectical materialism, this universe is always in motion, as described in the I Ching, a Chinese text that scientists have praised as the formula for the universe. Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese philosopher, also affirmed in the Tao Te Ching, "The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things." One of the most important insights of Buddhism is that the transformation of our consciousness determines our destiny. Humanity's understanding is still far from finding the exact answer to the universe. Therefore, the Buddha declared that his teachings are like leaves in his hand compared to the vast forest of universal truth. However, these teachings are sufficient to help beings achieve liberation. Every individual or sentient being is a potential Buddha. Ordinary Buddhists often believe that the universe is made up of the four elements: earth, water, wind, and fire, purely material substances. However, a deeper study of the Shurangama Sutra reveals that the Buddha identified that the universe is always latent and structured by the 8 great elements: earth, water, fire, wind, space, perception, consciousness, and awareness. Among these, consciousness plays an extremely important role, and this understanding is closely aligned with modern science. To view the world in the most objective way, we must consider both scientific and spiritual perspectives. Science and spirituality complement each other and are not in opposition. Both aspects are essential for humanity and for the future development of knowledge. Buddhist philosophy, with its practicality and simplicity, provides a natural spiritual framework for the advancement of modern science. Every day, science discovers that the power of thought and the experiential teachings of people who lived 25 centuries ago have a remarkable timeliness. It is very likely that these discoveries will allow humanity to free itself from its own constraints and illusions, ultimately achieving serenity, happiness, and peace. To achieve this, you should start with meditation. As demonstrated by the scientist Richard Davidson, through experiments using functional MRI, active and continuous meditation can change certain brain structures. And by increasing the activity level of these structures, it can lead to long-term behavioral changes in meditators. Regardless of what the universe is or looks like, I still hope that we live kindly, diligently, practice daily, and with sufficient good karma, you will be reborn into a higher realm. In this way, there will come a day when you attain liberation.